The Draxonian Empire was, by all accounts, the most terrifying force the galaxy had ever seen. 317 conquered star systems, 4,000 subjugated species, 70% of all known sentient life bowing to the whims of Emperor Kraz Thul the Magnificent, whose 13 eyes could allegedly see into the fabric of time itself. Their warships blotted out suns. Their foot soldiers were genetically modified to feel no pain. Their bureaucracy was legendary for its ruthless efficiency. And they fell in 12 hours because they killed the wrong human's brother. Impressive, really. Most galactic empires take at least a weekend to collapse. Jack Ryder was, for all intents and purposes, a nobody, a cargo pilot with marginal success, perpetually 3 payments behind on his ship's mortgage, and owner of exactly 2 notable possessions, and a vintage leather jacket that had belonged to his grandfather, and a healthy disdain for authority. He hauled freight between the mid-rim colonies, occasionally smuggled luxury goods past Draxonian checkpoints, and spent most of his downtime in bars telling exaggerated stories about close calls with space pirates. And his brother Marcus, on the other hand, was the responsible one. A xenobotanist specializing in adapting Earth plants to alien environments, he'd spent the last decade on Draxon Prime, working within the system to improve food security for the Empire's countless subjects. Not quite a revolutionary, but certainly a good man trying to make a difference in a system built on oppression and fear. On what would become known throughout the galaxy as the day before the fall, Marcus Ryder committed the unconscionable crime of parking his hover transport in a spot reserved for Level 7 administrative officials. He was, unfortunately, only a Level 6.5 scientific consultant. The punishment for such an offense, according to the Draxonian Imperial Code Section 34.567 billion, Paragraph 12, was immediate execution. When the news reached Jack, he was mid-delivery, hauling a shipment of synthetic coffee beans to the mining colonies of Torvik. The message was terse, automated, and charged a 15-credit notification fee to his account. Notice of execution, Marcus Ryder. Violation, improper parking. Remains processed for Imperial nutrient reclamation, and message ends. Jack stared at the notification for exactly 17 seconds. Then he set his ship's autopilot for a course away from Torvik, opened the storage compartment beneath his bunk, and removed a small black box he'd hoped never to open again. The Draxonians, in their 13-eyed wisdom, had just made what military historians would later call the biggest oopsie in the history of galactic conquest. They had killed Jack Ryder's brother, and they'd sent him a bill for the notification. Most people, upon learning their brother has been executed over a parking violation, might cry. Some might rage. Jack Ryder did something far more dangerous. He got methodical. The black box contained remnants of a life Jack had left behind. Before becoming a cargo pilot, before adopting the persona of a lovable screw-up who could barely keep his ship flying, Jack had been something else entirely. Something the Draxonian Empire's extensive intelligence databases had failed to flag when they killed Marcus. Jack had been Imperial Intelligence's top field operative for the now extinct Terran Confederacy. The contents of the box were sparse but significant, a neural implant that could interface with any known computer system, credentials that could still access dormant backdoors in a surprising number of networks, and a list of contacts Jack had hoped never to call upon again. "Pixel," Jack said to the empty cockpit. "Wake up." From a hidden compartment in the ship's control panel, a small holographic fox materialized, stretching as if from a long nap. "Good morning, Jack. It's been 7 years, 4 months, and 16 days since my last activation. Based on your vital signs and the fact you've reactivated me, I'm assuming someone important is dead, and someone powerful needs to join them." "My brother. The Draxonians." The AI fox sat on its haunches, ears twitching. Oh dear. That's ambitious. The entire Empire? That's approximately 2.3 trillion sentient beings, Jack. Perhaps we could narrow the target list. Just the ones responsible. That would be Section 34.567 billion. Paragraph 12 of the Imperial Code, implemented by Emperor Kraz Thul himself 3 decades ago. So, still the entire Empire, essentially. Jack smiled for the first time since receiving the notification. Then we'd better get to work. First call. Lena Wrench Kovacs, the best engineer in 3 sectors and the only person who'd ever successfully hacked a Draxonian warship's central computer. Currently running a repair shop on Ganymede under the name Lisa Keller. After being branded a terrorist for providing free power to a refugee camp. Jack fucking Ryder, she said when her face appeared on the comm screen. I thought you were dead. Not yet. Need your help. With what? Your ship finally fall apart. I'm going to take down the Draxonian Empire. Starting tonight. Lisa. Lena stared at him for 3 full seconds. Pick me up in 2 hours. I'll bring my tools. Second call. Dex Morgan, former Special Forces, current security consultant for Outer Rim mining operations. Jack had saved his life during the Battle of Europa. Dex had sworn a life debt, which Jack had never called in. That thing we never talk about, Jack said when Dex answered. I'm cashing in. Dex didn't even blink. What's the target? A Draxonian Empire. The entire thing? Yep. Timeline? I was thinking, today. Dex nodded thoughtfully. Tight schedule. I'll need 30 minutes to get my gear. Within 6 hours, Jack's previously empty cargo ship housed the most dangerous crew in the galaxy, a top-tier engineer with a grudge, a weapons specialist with nothing to lose, and an illegal AI smart enough to be classified as a weapon of mass destruction on 47 planets. As they gathered around the holographic planning table, Pixel displayed what they were up against. The most sophisticated military force ever assembled, a bureaucracy spanning thousands of worlds, and an emperor who had never known defeat. So, Jack said, his voice eerily calm, here's how we're going to do this. The Draxonian outpost on Europa Minor was considered impenetrable. 20-foot thick reinforced walls, quantum-entangled communication systems, guards genetically modified to never need sleep, air scanners that could detect unauthorized lifeforms down to the bacterial level. Jack Ryder walked through the front door at exactly 3:34 p.m. local time, wearing a delivery uniform and carrying a package. Special delivery for Administrative Director Kraz Vaughn, he told the guard at the reception desk, a towering Draxonian with chitinous skin and mandibles that clicked nervously. Identification, the guard demanded. Jack handed over a completely legitimate, totally authentic-looking ID card that Pixel had fabricated an hour earlier. The delivery company sent me. Some kind of diplomatic gift from the Arcturian ambassador. The guard scanned the ID, mandibles clicking faster. System shows no scheduled deliveries today. Jack sighed dramatically. Look, I don't make the orders, I just deliver them. If you want to be the one to tell the Arcturian ambassador that his gift to celebrate 300 years of not declaring war on each other day got rejected at the door, be my guest. Hey. The beauty of the Draxonian Empire was its bureaucracy. The horror of the Draxonian Empire was also its bureaucracy. No one, from the lowliest guard to the highest administrator, wanted to be responsible for a diplomatic incident. Especially not with the Arcturians, whose concept of war involved weaponized black holes. Wait here, the guard said, disappearing into a back room. Exactly 7 seconds later, Jack was alone. 6 seconds after that, he had plugged Pixel's neural interface into the reception terminal. 5 seconds later, they owned the building's entire security system. We're in, Jack subvocalized to his team through their encrypted comms. Wrench, you're up. Outside the compound, disguised as a maintenance worker, Lena approached the facility's power regulation station. With the security cameras now looping pre-recorded footage thanks to Pixel, she casually removed the access panel and began rearranging components with the casual expertise of someone who could disassemble a quantum engine blindfolded. Standard Draxonian power grid, she muttered, always so predictable. 3, 2, 1. Throughout the facility, systems began experiencing minor fluctuations, nothing alarming enough to trigger emergency protocols, but just enough to cause constant small annoyances. Doors opening a second too slow. temperature controls shifting 2 degrees in random directions, communication delays of 1.3 seconds between sentences. Meanwhile, Dex had positioned himself on a nearby ridge, a sniper rifle trained on the facility's main communication array not to destroy it, but to observe as chaos slowly unfolded. The guard returned, followed by a higher-ranking Draxonian wearing the insignia of a Level 8 administrative officer. "Where is this delivery from again?" the officer demanded. Jack adopted his most bored expression. "Arcturian Embassy, sir. Annual gift exchange, Level 7 diplomatic protocol. All the paperwork's in order." He gestured to the package, which was wrapped in ornate paper covered in what appeared to be important-looking official seals. The Level 8 officer hesitated. Declaring the package suspicious would require filing Form DX 4493B in triplicate. Accepting potentially unauthorized delivery would violate Section 23 of the Security Protocol. But refusing a legitimate diplomatic gift could trigger subsection 45.3 of the Interspecies Relations Code. "I'll need to verify this with Central Command," the officer finally decided. Jack nodded sympathetically. "Of course, sir. Though I should mention, the Arcturian ambassador specifically requested confirmation of delivery by 4 p.m. Something about the alignment of their homeworld's 7 moons being auspicious." The Draxonian's upper set of eyes blinked rapidly in distress. "Very well. I'll accept the package, but under Level 4 containment protocols." "Whatever you say, boss," Jack replied, handing over the package and a digital signature pad. "Just need your thumbprint here." The moment the Draxonian's thumb, actually more of a serrated appendage, touched the pad, Pixel captured his biometric data, the authorization codes embedded in his neural implants, and access permissions to 17 separate security systems. As Jack left the facility, whistling, the package was taken to a secure containment room. Inside was nothing but a box of expensive chocolates and a card reading to peace and prosperity the Arcturian diplomatic corps, and completely harmless. The Level 8 officer would eat one, find it delicious, and share them with his colleagues. None would notice the microscopic nanobots entering their digestive systems, designed to harvest more security credentials and relay them back to Pixel. Phase 1 complete, Jack announced as he rendezvoused with the team at their designated meeting point. How long until we own their entire network? Pixel's holographic fox appeared on Jack's wrist display. At current infiltration rates, 3 hours, 17 minutes until we control all critical systems. Jack nodded grimly. Perfect. Now for the fun part. Emperor Krasthul was having a perfectly pleasant day until the incident with the fish. Specifically, the ceremonial Galactic's luminous angelfish that had inexplicably appeared in the royal toilet instead of the ornamental pond, where they were supposed to be released during that afternoon's ceremony of aquatic blessings. How, the Emperor demanded of his trembling chief of palace security, did 17 bioluminescent fish end up in my personal lavatory? We're investigating, Your Magnificence, the security chief stammered, all 13 eyes blinking asynchronously in distress. It appears to be a scheduling error in the environmental control system. The Emperor might have dismissed this as a minor annoyance if not for the report that arrived 3 minutes later. The gravity generators on 5 major military installations had simultaneously recalibrated to 0.8 standard, causing thousands of elite soldiers to bounce uncomfortably with each step. Then came news that the automated food dispensers in 73 administrative centers were dispensing only purple nutrition paste, regardless of which buttons were pressed. Coincidences, the Imperial Intelligence Director assured him. System glitches. Nothing to worry about. That was before the incident with the planetary defense systems on Draxon 4, which suddenly reclassified all Draxonian military vessels as suspicious unidentified objects and targeted them with warning shots. On the cargo ship that Jack had rechristened Marcus Revenge for the occasion, the team watched the chaos unfold through thousands of hijacked security feeds. The beautiful thing about the Draxonian network architecture, Lena explained, munching on synthesized popcorn, is how they prioritized centralization over security. One system fails, they all start to compensate, which means which means we can create a cascade failure by triggering enough small errors, Jack finished. Pixel, how's the next phase coming? The AI Fox was sprawled dramatically across the holographic display. I've infiltrated 92% of their priority systems. Their cybersecurity team is running around like headless pultroids. They've identified 16 separate attack A's, none of which are our actual point of entry. X, cleaning a disassembled pulse rifle that he hadn't actually needed to use yet, shook his head in amazement. I still don't understand how you knew all this would work. Jack's expression darkened. Because I helped design some of their security protocols, back when Earth and Draxon were allies, before they decided humans were more useful as subjects than partners. Wait, Lena said, pausing mid-popcorn crunch. You worked for the Draxonians. No, I worked for humanity. The Draxonians just happened to benefit from our work, until they didn't. On Draxon Prime, Emperor Kraz-Thul was no longer having anything resembling a pleasant day. Reports of malfunctions had escalated from annoying to alarming. The Imperial Palace's environmental systems had developed what could only be described as a sense of humor, creating localized rain showers that followed specific high-ranking officials from room to room. This is a coordinated attack. The Emperor roared, water dripping from his ceremonial headdress. Find who's responsible. The Imperial Intelligence Director, whose personal rain cloud seemed particularly enthusiastic, bowed awkwardly. We've identified the source of the intrusion. Your Magnificence. It appears to be a parking enforcement notification system on level 42. A what? The automated system that issues violations for improper parking, Your Magnificence. Somehow it's become a gateway into our primary networks. The Emperor's 13 eyes narrowed simultaneously, which those in his inner circle recognized as a sign of extreme displeasure. Are you telling me that the most powerful empire in the galaxy is being attacked through a parking ticket system? That appears to be the case, Your Magnificence. Shut it down. Shut everything down. That, as it turned out, was exactly what Jack had been waiting for. There are few sights more satisfying than watching a meticulously arranged row of dominoes topple in perfect sequence. Unless, perhaps, it's watching a galactic empire collapse because they tried turning everything off and on again. They're doing exactly what we predicted, Pixel announced, the holographic fox now wearing a tiny party hat Lena had programmed for the occasion. An emergency shutdown of all networked systems in 3, 2, 1. Throughout Draxonian space, computers went dark, ships lost guidance. Defense systems deactivated. Communication networks fell silent. And then, precise 15 seconds later, they began rebooting using the emergency backup protocols that Jack and Pixel had carefully infected hours earlier. Now broadcasting on all frequencies, Pixel announced. Jack took a deep breath and activated the transmitter. His face appeared on every screen, every holographic projector, and every communication device across the Draxonian Empire simultaneously. People of the galaxy, he began, his voice remarkably calm for someone dismantling an empire. My name is Jack Ryder. Yesterday, the Draxonian Empire executed my brother, Marcus Ryder, for parking in the wrong spot. Today, I'm returning the favor. On Draxon Prime, Emperor Kraz-Thul watched in horror as his military command systems came back online with new programming. Defense platforms turned their weapons inward. Warships received orders to stand down or face immediate destruction. Automated security forces powered down. Simultaneously, across 317 star systems, the sealed records of every Draxonian abuse of power, every secret execution, and every suppressed uprising were released to the public. The unredacted files on colonial exploitation. The true casualty numbers from the Proxima Centauri pacification. The secret protocols for harvesting resources from inhabited worlds. This isn't just about my brother, Jack continued in his galaxy-wide broadcast. This is about every family torn apart by imperial decree, every species subjugated for Draxonian convenience, every life treated as expendable. On a dozen previously subdued worlds, the indigenous populations rose up against their oppressors. On Draxonian military bases, Confused commanders found themselves surrounded by coalition forces from previously conquered systems, but now armed with the access codes to Draxonian weapons. The Emperor, in a desperate final gambit, ordered his elite guard to launch the Royal escape vessel, only to discover that its navigation system now displayed nothing but an animation of a small fox running in circles, chasing its tail. In the Imperial Palace's grand audience chamber, the Emperor sat alone on his throne as the sounds of rebellion echoed through the hallways, betrayed by the very technology that had made domination possible, abandoned by underlings eager to save themselves. The most powerful being in the galaxy waited for the inevitable. The doors to the chamber burst open. But instead of an angry mob, a single figure walked calmly down the long aisle toward the throne. Jack Ryder, hands in the pockets of his vintage leather jacket, looking for all the world like an unremarkable cargo pilot who'd taken a wrong turn. "You know," Jack said conversationally, "my brother always said the Draxonian people were better than their government. That underneath all this," he gestured around at the opulent chamber, "there was a culture worth preserving." The Emperor's upper eyes narrowed. "You've destroyed everything." "No, I've just deleted your admin privileges. There's a difference." 12 hours and 17 minutes after Jack received notification of his brother's execution, the Draxonian Empire officially surrendered not to Jack Ryder, who wanted nothing to do with governing, but to a hastily assembled coalition of formerly subjugated worlds. Emperor Kraz Thul was not executed, despite widespread calls for his head. Instead, in an irony not lost on anyone, he was sentenced to community service, 5,000 years of it, to be precise, helping rebuild the worlds his empire had devastated. His 13 eyes would be put to good use identifying native plant species for restoration projects. Jack stood in what had once been the Imperial Gardens, now repurposed as a memorial park. A simple stone marker had been placed beneath a transplanted earth oak tree. It read, "Marcus Ryder, xenobotanist, brother. His plants will feed worlds he never saw." He would have hated all the attention, Jack said to his assembled crew as they prepared to depart. "Probably would have given me a lecture about proportional response." Lena snorted. "Toppling an empire is proportional to what they did to millions of people." "Yeah, but Marcus always thought bigger than just what was done to him. That's why he was the better of us." X, who had fired exactly 0 shots during the entire revolution, clapped a hand on Jack's shoulder. "So what now? We've still got the most talented crew in the galaxy and a ship full of Imperial secrets." Jack looked up at the stars, visible through the garden's transparent dome. "I was thinking, there are a lot of worlds out there that could use some help rebuilding. Marcus's research on adapting Earth plants to alien environments, someone should make sure it doesn't go to waste." Pixel's holographic fox materialized on Jack's shoulder. "I've analyzed the data. There are 47 planets where Marcus's work could immediately improve food security." "Then I guess we've got our next job," Jack said, "delivering hope instead of cargo." As their ship lifted off from the former Imperial capital, a message arrived from the newly formed Galactic Transition Council, offering Jack an official position with an impressively long and important-sounding title. Jack sent back a one-line response, "No thanks. But you might want to reconsider your parking regulations." 300 light-years away, the first seedlings from Marcus Ryder's research sprouted on a world that had known only Draxonian exploitation for generations. The locals called the plant Marcus's Revenge, not because it helped bring down an empire, but because, like the man it was named for, it thrived where nothing was supposed to grow. And somewhere in the vast bureaucracy of the former empire, an automated system finally processed a parking ticket appeal that Marcus had filed the day before his execution. Request approved. Fine cancelled. 12 hours too late to save an empire. At the end.